Welcome to another episode of Don't Call It Small. I'm your host, Natasha Foreman. If you don't know me and you have no clue what this podcast is all about, let me share a bit. I'm the CEO of Foreman Associates, LLC, where we provide consulting, business support, and professional development services. And Don't Call It Small is where we talk all things business, share tips and news that you can use, and highlight the people and ideas behind the products and services that we buy. To learn more about our team, please visit foremanllc.com. Oh my goodness, folks. Welcome. Oh my goodness. It has been a long time coming, hasn't it? It's been a while since we've connected. Too much time has passed, and there's so much that I want to be able to share with all of you. And I'm excited. Just while we're all dealing with everything that's going on in our lives in this world, I do have some great news to share. I started this book, if you recall, that I put on pause in 2016, and I'm finally ready to make its debut this year. I'm ready. I think it's ready too. I experienced some hurdles, setbacks, and moments when all I wanted to do was cuss and throw my MacBook out the window. And it wasn't just from dealing with the book, but just life, right? All the stuff life brings your way or reminds you that you never dealt with. And it seems so overwhelming and ever-consuming. So, those times I wanted to toss out that MacBook out the window and just watch it splinter. The reality of replacement costs and the bigger reminder that it really isn't that bad, Natasha, it begins to settle in, and it settles the troubled child in me that wants to temper tantrum. Many of you maybe experience a lot of the ups and downs, and we're looking at our insecurities and fears, and it's unnerving, it's unsettling. And some of you have businesses that you just started this year or last year, and you're like a freshman on that high school campus wondering what you got yourself into. Others of you may have been in business several years or even more than a decade, and you've experienced some twists and turns, but nothing to the magnitude of this COVID-19 experience. With fear comes moments where we blank out and don't consider the options and opportunities before us. So today I want to share with you an option and an opportunity. Today you will sit in on a conversation that I'm about to have with an individual who works extremely hard to provide businesses with opportunities they probably overlooked. Let me share a little about her. Emmanuella Myrthil is the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, DBE Manager with the Program Management Consultant for the Major Mobility Investment Program, MMIP, within the Office of the Innovative Delivery at Georgia Department of Transportation, which is GDOT. She's devoted the past 15 years to providing oversight and guidance for federally funded programs for local construction projects throughout the state of Georgia. She has served as a public relations specialist, an environmental planner, and a project manager in the transportation industry. I hope that hearing all of that has your mental wheels turning. If so, keep listening. As HNTB's DBE manager, she utilizes creative and engaging strategies to raise industry awareness and diversify DBE participation in Georgia's largest alternative delivery program. Through innovative learning sessions and business development workshops, Emmanuella and her team focus on preparing DBEs and SBEs for major works with GDOT and MARTA. Without further delay, let's welcome Emmanuella to the Don't Call It Small Business Podcast. Hi, Emmanuella. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
It has, I just finished, of course, sharing your bio and everything, but I never really shared with the audience how it is that I've, got to meet you and why we're doing this. But I had actually sat in on, you guys call it is it called a brown bag series?
Yep.
I sat in on one of the series, and I think it was last month, and it was so informative and just so in the short amount of time, I got just what I needed. And it was so interesting because as I was trying to, send my questions in and I was using my phone, there was a delay. And so I had to then send an email afterwards. And I was able to connect with your team member, Natasha Hooper. And in these interactions, I got to have a one-on-one session with her, which I love that
Right.
your organization, that you guys do that, where you give us this one-on-one to help guide us, because maybe we're in the wrong place, or or we're in the right place, but we just need another door opened. And in doing so, she had this great idea for me to be able to share you and share what you all do with my audience, to help cut some of their learning time down as well. So I shared your bio and all that you do and what you've been doing for the past 15 plus years. Can you briefly just break down your job and what that means in layman's terms?
Yes, so what that means right now, so I'm the DBE Manager with HNTB, and I'm working on GDOT's Largest Infrastructure Program, the Major Mobility Investment Program, and really our responsibility, myself and my office, is to do a couple of things. One, engage the DBE community in a way that allows them access to information, access to opportunities, access to contracts, access to relationships, access to us, access to GDOT, So that means that we are conducting industry workshops. That means we are monitoring DBE participation on our MMIP projects. That means we are doing everything we can to expand our own DBE partners. That means I am overseeing how our general engineering consulting firms are utilizing their DBE partners. It means spreading the word. It means so many different things depending on where you are as a DBE. But at the end of the day, the most important goal that we have is to ensure that we are engaging DBEs, ensure that we are getting information to them, and doing everything we can, like business matchmaking events, doing everything we can, again, to give them access to the consultants and the developers that they want to meet so that they can get contracts.
Awesome. So what drew you to a career in the transportation industry?
That's a very good question. I started off as a communications specialist with GDOT. That's how I actually landed in GDOT. At the time, it was very easy for me to just go into that job because I'm originally from New York, and when I was in New York, I worked for the Senate. So being in the state government, in the state politics space was very comfortable for me, and I have a journalism degree, so I really wanted to be able to cover what was going on with GDOT from the inside. And that opportunity really just enabled me to continue to flourish within GDOT, even as a non-engineer. I do not have an engineering background. I was able to get into environmental writing. I was able to get into project management, program management, learning how to read a set of plans, and just all this great stuff that I would have never even anticipated. And when I left GDOT, I joined HNTB and just continued to grow. And I think it's pretty marvelous that I've been able to learn so much and meet so many people and do very well in the transportation space, not being an engineer or a planner, but just coming out with a journalism degree and then falling into all of this and knowing that I'm in the right place. It's just been great.
Wow. And that's the thing. I think so many people probably don't pursue certain avenues because we restrict ourselves. We think that, well, that's not my space, so how could my puzzle piece fit in that? And you just proved that your other skill set is what made it possible for those things to happen, but you didn't limit yourself. You didn't see that and say, well, I don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to walk down that path. But you have, and it's been a very rewarding one for you. So,
it has, and I personally charge myself with challenging myself to become an expert in whatever area I'm in. Again, when I started doing the environmental writing, I was not an expert in that, but I made it my business to really learn it. I was very eager to understand some of the processes that were occurring around project development, some of the processes around right-of-way, some of the processes around logical termini. Like, I wanted to understand those things and just really, again, prove to myself that I didn't need to have the engineering background. And it's great to have an engineering background. I'm not taking away from that, but I'm just saying there are all these other service provisions that support the planning and support the engineering. And so I think, again, nobody should limit themselves to what they think or not even really have a full understanding of until you challenge yourself to get in it and then see where it takes you.
That's great. So we've mentioned DBE a couple of times now. So what is a DBE? Because people hear disadvantage, business enterprise, and they're like, disadvantage, like they take it as a negative versus seeing the positive. So can you explain what a DBE actually is?
Yeah, a DBE is basically a certification, and the certification disadvantage is, like you said, it has nothing to do with, it's not a negative. It's really just a classification relating to your social and economic, I'm saying the wrong word, but essentially your social and economic makeup, right? And so that means that you are either a minority or you are a woman, and that's all it means. But our team likes to really break down the advantages of being a DBE. You know, the DBE program came out of the Civil Rights Movement of 1964, and that was expressly for the purpose of enabling minority-owned businesses to have an opportunity on federally funded contracts in the transportation space. And so, you know, we had to do that because we had to do that. That is the history that we come out of, and still now we still have a ways to go, and we still have a DBE goal. And so the advantage of being a DBE certified business is that you have access to specific contracts that require that a contractor or a consultant meet a DBE goal. And that's not a disadvantage because it puts you in a position to not only get the contracts in the business that you're wanting, but it puts you in the position to grow your business. It puts you in the position to make the right partners so that you can continue to work in the industry that you want to work in or work on the contracts that you want to work on. And it puts you in a space to eventually graduate out of the DBE program and to be able to prime your own, prime contracts. And so it's really a win-win as far as I'm concerned. Any well-established DBE will tell you the DBE program, it works. It's here, and it's here to serve our underutilized businesses. And until something shifts in our society, we're going to continue to have a DBE goal.
Awesome. And so when we look at the Georgia Department of Transportation, GDOT, there are different types of projects. Can you kind of explain, because I think, when people think of transportation, I think, I think certain things just there's a different images that pop up. So can you kind of just briefly explain the different types of projects that they're delivered through GDOT?
Yeah, so GDOT has a few different programs for which projects are being delivered. They have a maintenance program, and so that program specifically deals with the maintenance that is happening around the state with the infrastructure. Those projects are smaller or right size for small businesses. GDOT has a traditional design bid build program. What do we call it? We call it through the Office of Innovative Delivery, and that's the traditional type of contracts that require a consulting firm. They design plans, they submit the plans to GDOT after designing it to completion. GDOT then takes those set of plans and they bid it out to a developer. And, again, those projects are big and they have a lot of opportunity on them. In terms of the major mobility investment programs and the advanced improvement projects that are attached to that program, this particular program is alternative delivery. And so what that means is, or another way people might be familiar with, is design build. These projects are a little different in the fact that the design bid build traditional program, MMIP and alternative delivery projects are sort of collapsed so that we are having a consulting firm designing and working with a developer or a contractor at the same time to expedite the building of a project. And so instead of completing plans at 100% and submitting them to GDOT for them to go out for bid, a consulting firm would design up to maybe 30%, and then we would bring on the developer, and then we would look at alternative delivery methods and innovative methods and just some real cool technology to bring that project to the public quicker, if that makes sense.
Yes. So, we just finished talking about you pursuing in a career that you were a journalism major, pursuing a career right. that most, so with that same type of mindset, I know that even though you just shared this, there's going to be someone that says, oh, well, I don't have a construction business or whatever. I don't know anything about transportation. What could they possibly be missing out on as a DBE, not trying to knock on that door of possible opportunity?
That's it. They would miss out on possible opportunity. I mean, the reality is, just what we said. So, we say transportation, we say construction, but somebody's got to clean that office, right? Mm-hmm. That project office. Somebody has to be a janitor to go and keep that place clean, or, perhaps there's like a really big printing need or something. Perhaps we can go to a DBE who owns a print shop, and we can get these materials that we need for projects and public involvement. Maybe we can go through a DBE. Maybe we can find a DBE who's into drones and they take pictures of what's going on, or, a DBE who is in the tolling space and they could be looking at what's going on with how we collect the tolls, or a DBE who is, I could go on and on, but the point is we don't want to just look at just our traditional methods of meeting our DBE goal. We do want to step out of the box and get creative on how we engage non-traditional DBEs to participate with GDOT and with MMIP.
So then how do I, as a business owner, how do I go through the process of becoming a DBE?
So that is a process that you would go through with GDOT or MARTA, depending on the county that you live in. If you are in DeKalb, Fulton, or Clayton, your process would go through MARTA. And fortunately, also, GDOT has supportive services that are available expressly to help a business become certified. And so those supportive services are CEI and MH Miles. And we can share that information with your listeners, and we can give you handouts and things like that. But those two supportive service agencies are there to help you through that application process. It could take up to 90 days, understanding that there is an office visit to really just kind of solidify and confirm that you are the business that you say you are, and that you have the resources you need to run your business. And the 90-day process is approximate because, you may have submitted your application and perhaps you forgot to submit something, and then there was a request for something, and then that 90 days will start again. So it is a process, but it's absolutely worth it. And the fact that there are supportive services directly contracted to GDOT so that you have the resources and the help you need at no cost to you, it just makes perfect sense that you would take advantage of those certifying resources to help you gain that certification.
So once I have the DBE's certification, does that mean I can use that in all states for federal contracting, or is it just in my state?
So you can get interstate certified, and there's an affidavit process that occurs with that, and that process is much shorter because it's just really two states coordinating with each other to make sure that the information is legit for both states, and then you get interstate certified. And so that process is much more quicker because you've already gone through the full-blown process.
Gotcha. So what upcoming events will MMIP and GDOT be hosting, either, because I know there's, of course, things that are happening separately or whatever. But is there anything that you're going to be hosting that people can learn more about, participate in, so on and so forth?
Yeah, so our office holds different events quarterly. And so right now, with COVID, everything is virtual. But I do know that we blast out an invite to something at least once every other month to the DBE community. I know that the next thing we have coming up, in fact, I believe it's next month, and I will get you the dates. But we have what we call the DBE Advantage. And DBE Advantage is when we get one of our own DBE partners to talk to the industry about their experience as a DBE with HNTB or as an experienced DBE working with GDOT, just to be able to give other DBEs a peer-to-peer exchange where they're learning and listening from somebody who is a small business owner like them. The next guest that we have next month is going to be Rhoda Fox. I'm not sure if anybody's aware or have heard of her, Rhoda Fox Construction. And the owner, Joy Rhoda Fox, will be our guest. And she will be talking specifically to how your community engagement in terms of specifically how your giving to the community turns into contract opportunity. So she'll be talking about that. And I can put together a list of the events that we have coming up. So we will most likely have a brown bag series or another brown bag event coming up in October. Okay. Right now, one of the things we are planning to do quarterly is to identify those non-traditional DBEs that we're talking about. We want to be able to identify at least 10 of them every month so that we can start connecting them with the developers and the contractors and the consulting firms so that we can start exposing those non-traditional DBEs and helping them to make the connections to get the contracts. So we're working on that like as we speak. That's one of the discussions I just had with the team last week, and now we're trying to figure out what does that look like quarterly and how does that look virtually and what is the platform we want to use until things become quote unquote normal again and we're all able to gather in a room.
Gotcha. So that's perfect, and that gives me more opportunities to, as my different podcast episodes where I can be able to give those, shout out those dates and events and the information so that, I can keep doing my part to engage on my side as far as different people that listen. That doesn't mean that everyone's that normally listens to me may listen to this episode, and then later on they're like, what is she talking about? So this is a great opportunity for me to keep doing a layering effect on my side as well. So how can people connect with your team or connect with the MMIP on social media, since I know that we're all tapped in and tuned in to that? How can we connect?
So if anybody wanted to actually email us, I'll start with that. They could email us at dbemip@dot.ga.gov. That email is answered by either myself or Natasha Hooper. And again, it's dbemip@dot.ga.gov. But if anybody wanted more information on the MMIP program, they could visit the website. There is a website specifically for all of the MMIP projects, and it's dot.ga.gov/MMIP. We do have a newsletter that we blast out every single month, and to get on that subscription, you would contact Leandria Holiday. Her email address is LEHoliday with 2 L's, HOLLIDAY @HNTB.com. And to talk to us live, you would call 404-946-5764. I can say that one more time. Yeah. 404-946-5764. And the event that I talked about with Joy Rhoda Fox, it is actually on September 10th at 10 a.m., And like I said, we've already blasted it out to the DBE community, but if you wanted me to send that to you specifically, I could, so that you could share with your listeners.
I think that maybe Natasha sent me something, because I remember seeing something about September, but I'll definitely double back with you on that. And then what I'm going to make sure to do is, when we do as for each episode, we also do a blog attached to that, so I can then make sure that all this information is part of that blog, as well, so that, you know, no one's saying, well, I couldn't hear it. So I'll be sure to have all that information included as well. Well, Emmanuella, I would love to keep you longer. I know that you're a super busy woman, and you are doing a lot to help people, like I said, to see those opportunities and to empower them. Now, if they choose to take it or not is their choice, but I do really appreciate you and your team for all that you're doing to really help make those connections and understanding the historical framework that it comes from, and that we've had a lot of progress, but we still have a long ways to go. And minorities and women have to be able to see those opportunities and seize them, and versus working hard, as far as, you know what I mean, taking that mountain the hard way. Here's an opportunity where someone says, you know what, this you've busted your tail. You've proven that you can do it. Right. And now here's this door. We're getting you to the door that some people try to block you from. Here's this door of opportunity. It's not a handout, right? This is you proving. This is you saying that I deserve to be at this table, and I appreciate you all for helping people to be able to see that this is how you can get to this table without taking 20 years that I think so many people would struggle with. And thank you for helping to break down the stigma, because people, they see the word disadvantage and that pride or ego or whatever comes in, and you walk away from it not realizing this is not a negative, this is a positive. So thank you so very much. And just one last time, can you share the phone number one last time for contact with you guys?
Yes, it is 404-946-5764, and I'll share the email address one more time. Okay. It is DBE MMIP at DOT.ga.gov. And like I said, myself and my team, you know, we come to work every day because we want to help small businesses. We want to help DBEs. It is not just a job. It is definitely an understanding that the work that we're doing has to work. You know, we're here to really help the longevity of businesses and the legacy of businesses in Georgia, and we just want to do everything we can to help our small business community, our DBE community, get the opportunities on the MMIP program.
Well, thank you again for joining us, and maybe I'll have an opportunity to have a follow-up conversation with you on a future episode. I hope that you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and I'll chat with you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, folks, it's that time again. Time to wrap up and go our separate ways until next week. I don't know about you, but I was really excited about what Emmanuella just shared with us. There's a lot of information that you can find on their website. And of course, I will make sure to have everything shared on our blog. If you have any questions or suggestions about this show, about the Don't Call It Small podcast, please email them to us at don'tcallitsmallbiz@gmail.com. I want to end with a quote from Tom Peters. He said, "If a window of opportunity appears, don't pull down the shade." Folks, this just may be a window of opportunity for many of you. Don't pull down that shade. With that, be sure to check us out on Facebook, and we're at Foreman and Associates. We're on Instagram and Twitter at Foreman LLC. Our podcast Twitter handle is It Ain't Small. Be sure to also follow us and share us with your friends, colleagues, and family. And of course, I know, you want to connect with me. I want to connect with you too. So be sure to follow me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram at Natasha L. Foreman. Reach out to me, say hello, share your story. I look forward to meeting you. I want to make sure that I give credit for this theme song. It's Higher Up by Shane Ivers. Thank you guys for tuning into the Don't Call It Small Business Podcast, for sharing these episodes with others, and for your continued support. And don't forget what I tell you on each and every episode. Don't call what you're planning, thinking, dreaming, or doing little or small. Go big, go bold, or go nowhere. Have a super awesome day and week.